If you are a leader who thinks no one is listening to you, maybe you are leading a department and it feels like no matter what you say, your managers and your supervisors just let the teams run wild and don't actually put what you want in place. Maybe you're in a leadership position within your community and it feels like you keep saying the same things over and over and over again just to continue to be in this same treadmill and never making progress on the goals that you have. Or maybe you are a parent and it feels like you are a broken record with your kids and they're just not picking up on those critical lessons that you have for them. And all you want is to see some sort of sign that they are taking things away. Well, I want to share a story with you today of how you can see that glimpse, how you can see that glimmer, that everything is coming together and then double down on it. And so it becomes more than a glimmer. It becomes this shining beacon of light that people are moving forward with exactly what you have been telling them this entire time. So I'm going to start out with a story for you from vacation. My family and I were on vacation just a couple of short days ago, and this amazing very, very small thing happened that just proved everything I have been talking to my kids about and to you guys about for years now. And in the end, I want to give you what was the biggest key to me actually seeing this come true. All right, so what actually happened? Well, we were in this little harbor town, okay? And we were doing a dock walk. We do a ton of dock walks. We love going out and looking at all of the boats. We love going out and looking for fish, for looking for seagulls and ducks and pelicans and all of the things, all right? And so my family and I are out on one of these walks that we have taken 100 times before. And there's other people who do the dock walks as well. Some of them are actually going out to their boats. And so we're thinking about what it took to have these amazing yachts or how people are prioritizing their time or their money to be able to get these different types of boats and how they use them, where they came from, where they're going to, all of that fun stuff. We also see people who are out there just wetting a line, just fishing for whatever they can get off of the front of these docks, just hanging out and spending their sunset or their evenings or their mornings, just enjoying their time by the water. And so there was one of these such gentlemen at the end of the pier as we were walking. And he was using a bait caster, which is a specific type of fishing pole, and fishing off the end of the dock. And here he was just by himself, hanging out, doing his thing. He was friendly. He had a couple of, kind comments for us as we're walking around with the boys. And all of a sudden, he goes to cast his bait caster, and he didn't have enough reel on his pole. The whole thing flew off. All right. He lost his brand new bait that he had just tied on. He lost all of his line. So, what was supposed to be this really nice evening for him just ended. Now, he just sort of laughed it off, made a joke about himself, not realizing how much line was still on the pole when he cast. And he went rummaging through his tackle box to see if he had any more line. And so, my son is a top of the line fisherman for an 11-year-old. He is really, really into fishing. And so, he's kind of joking back and forth with this man. Nothing too deep, just kind of bantering a little bit about bait casters because he also likes fishing with a bait caster. But they do have some quirks where you can get a huge tangle or you can lose your line altogether. So they're just making the smallest of small talk about this fishing pole. So the man finds another spool of line that he can put on his pole. And as he's kind of going back and forth with my son, he starts tying the line on. Okay. It's kind of a big job. It usually takes a tool or another person to just hold the line while you're reeling it in so that you can actually fill up this pole. So my kiddo, seeing that he's, trying to do this thing that usually takes two people or at least some sort of tool to hold on to the line, he's sort of struggling or he's going to struggle as he tries to do this. My kiddo says, "Hey, did you want me to hold that for you? I can stand here a minute. We're just, looking down the dock." And the guy says, "Oh, That's so nice of you. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you could hold that, that'll make this go much faster. So he goes through, he reels up the line, everything's all set up, and he says, hey, do you want a little Cleo? Which is like a tiny little spoon, another, bait that he can use. And my kiddo goes, oh, you don't have to do that. And he says, yeah, no, I want to. I have plenty of them. Do you want a little Cleo? And my kiddo's like, yeah, that would be great. So he takes this bait, this little hook and spoon, and says thank you. And we kind of chatted a little bit more and carried on our way. It was the smallest of interactions, but it proved that my son, my kiddo, is learning so much about what it means to be a leader in the world. Now let's break it down, because my guess is that your kids, your team, and your community organization that you're leading are all doing the exact same things. You might just not be seeing it. So let's break down this one interaction through the lens of, what am I typically trying to teach people? What am I typically trying to get my kids to take away from this? Well, one of the things is networking, right? In networking, we talk about having to do two things. One is you have to be able to get into conversation. Lots of times we know what we want as the end result. We know that we want to get a new job. We know that we want to hire a new person. We know that we want to persuade someone to see things the way we see it. And so we go into that networking conversation with a goal in mind, which is great, but it clouds us from being able to just make that small talk, to find that one little thing to bond over. Now, my kiddo, he could have tried to bond over the city that we were in, right? But that would have been too big, too kind of all consuming. He could have tried to bond over fishing in general, a little more narrow, but still kind of makes it difficult to have that really simple small talk to get started. So what did he focus on? The specific type of rod that this person was using. They had bait casters in common. Now, is that something that's going to get him into one of those beautiful yachts that he wants one day? No. Is it going to get him a ride on a sailboat, which he always is hoping will randomly happen when we're there? Also, no. But it is one way to just connect with someone and have that kind of banter back and forth. And so he was able to just have that little spark of a conversation that could turn into something bigger. Now, I said that there's two things in networking, right? So what was the other thing that he did? Networking is a race to add value. So he was the first one to see that there was something he could do to add value in this new relationship that he was making with this gentleman who was fishing off the end of the pier. Was it a big add to value? Not really. It was just holding on to the line so that it would run freely as the guy reeled it in. But it was something. It was a thing that he could notice and that he could add value to that person's evening, life, that was just going to get him closer to what he wanted. He loves the water. He loves fishing. He loves boating. And being able to help this person gets him one step closer to the fishing guide service that he wants to start, to potentially a boat ride that he would want to go on. Which kind of leads me to my next point. Something else that you have to be able to do as a leader is notice and do. Notice and do is the mental load that we're all carrying when we're the leader. We think that we're going to delegate tasks. We think that we're going to have this A team who can just accomplish all of this work without us. But it starts with us noticing things and saying, oh, something needs to be done. Now, at home with my kiddos, that looks like, hey, notice that the carpet hasn't been vacuumed in a while and do that. Hey, notice that the dog is following you around while you eat lunch. Maybe someone should feed her breakfast at this point, right? Noticing and doing is just carrying some of that mental load. For your team, it might be, oh, I noticed that we all have complaints about this same glitch in the process. Let me do something to clean that up or make it more clear in the SOP. That's what a leader does, right? And so Having him take on this very small notice and do is a glimpse, is a glimmer that it is catching on for him. Right now, it's something that's very important to him that someone would be able to continue fishing, right? But it is one view that it is starting to make sense for him. Now, what allowed me to see this with my kid? Now, when I say see it, I don't just mean the fact that I was there, right? I was able to take vacation. That means that I have a job that can pay me to be able to take the time off, that can afford to stay in a different place and do the fun things with my family, with my kiddos, right? But also gives me the presence, gives me the mental bandwidth to physically step away and also mentally step away to just pay attention to what's going on. Many leaders, many managers would say that they go on vacation, but they bring their laptop every single time. And they look for opportunities to send their kids out on their own or to send their kids off with their spouse so that they can get a little bit of work done. And I am not knocking that. I have done that as well. And there's a time and a place for that. But being a leader allows you to discern when to be present in the work and when to be present with the family. I didn't say, hey, Dad, can you take all of the kids out for a dock walk? I said, let's go for a dock walk. I didn't even bring my laptop this time, but I don't need to open that up right now. I can do that later. I can have things, processes set before I even leave. Let's go and do this together. It opens up your mental mapping to be able to find these things, to be able to see that your kid talking to some stranger isn't them annoying someone else. It isn't them, uh, encountering stranger danger or causing some sort of problem out there. It's them putting those values and those things that you have been teaching forever into action for themselves. So allowing yourself to have that time and that presence while you're at work might look like not worrying about inbox zero, so that when you say my door is always open, it means you're listening while making eye contact with the person. It means you're not answering the emails. It means you're not putting the finishing touches on that PowerPoint while they're trying to have a conversation with you. Maybe it means that when someone says, hey, do you have a minute? You actually have a minute. Maybe it means that you have built your day, your life in a way that you have this white space, you have this margin that you can actually work with them when they need you most. And that you have equipped them to take that initiative. Most things in life are caught, not taught. And so while I do talk about notice and do's with my kids, I rarely talk about adding value. I rarely talk about networking because they're children. They don't need to think about things in terms of networking. They think about things in terms of being a good friend, whether it's being a good friend to someone you already know or being a good friend to someone you don't know. And so he has caught that we add value first. He has caught from his dad and I, from his aunts and uncles, from his grandparents, that we rush to notice what's going on and add value for people before they can give us anything in return. Because that is what being a leader is. Now, my friend, the biggest thing here that I want you to know is first, you can have people on your team, people in your organization, whether that is the place that you work at or the community organization that you have been leading and have been president for longer than you have ever wanted to be, right? You can have those people reading your mind and putting it into practice before you ever realized it. That you can just notice that this is happening. They're doing it right in front of your very eyes, and neither one of you intentionally made that choice. It can happen almost like magic, almost by accident, But you do have to do one thing first, because it all starts and ends with communication. My kiddo didn't just decide this because he's miraculous and wonderful, though he is. He is a terrific kid. But like I said before, he caught these ideas. He has seen us help tie up a boat when there's only one person on it and they need to dock. He has seen us pick up the trash as we're walking through the park on the different trails because we leave places better than we find it. He is seeing everything that we're doing. And so we are communicating with him that these things are important and this is how you live your life. I hope that your kids are picking that up from you, but your team absolutely can be doing the same thing. They can see that you set boundaries around when you are working and when you are not. They can see that you make the main thing, that you are prioritizing the work that has to get done before the work that is just busy work taking up your time. You get to set the tone and you get to communicate what is expected of that team. And it can feel just as natural as you leading yourself so that they see to lead themselves as well. And if you want to be the type of leader that this sort of interaction just happens naturally, it just feels like magic, and people don't even realize why you have the A team that can get this stuff done, that automatically adds value no matter what project they're put on, that automatically notices the work that needs to be done and does it without ever asking for more overtime or why isn't so-and-so pulling their weight. If you want to be the type of leader who has the time and the presence to actually nurture these skills and abilities in your team, then I want to talk to you. I want to have a conversation about what this would look like, what these things that you are trying to ingrain in your team would actually look like if they were living it out every single day. So click the link below and let's jump on a call to see what that would look like for you. I hope that this message found you well, and that if you have not gone on your family summer vacation yet, that you do so soon, because we are running out of time. And before we get to this new school year for your kiddos, before we jump into the fourth quarter of the year, that you set up some time with me so that we can talk about what this type of leadership would do for you.